Hey everyone, Amy Locicero here from The Creative Actor, and today I'm going to be showing you how to quickly and easily edit your postcard template in Corjl. So after you've purchased your listing, you'll receive an email with a link and you'll log into Corjl, and this is what you will see, obviously depending on the postcard that you've purchased. This is just our example. So over here on the left-hand side, you can see our postcard, and below it are the written instructions. If you'd like to take a look at those, there is a second page that you can see there. So on this left-hand side, you can see the name of our postcard, that the file is incomplete because we haven't done any editing yet. And there are 3 buttons here underneath. Revert to original is if you've ever done editing on your design and you just don't like it and you want to start again to the original file that you received, you can hit revert back to original. Otherwise, if you just want to go back a step or 2, you want to use these buttons over here, undo and redo, because this will totally get rid of any edits that you've made. Here is where you will save as you go along. And after we save, this download option will become available to us, and we will get into how to download your design at the end. So let's collapse this menu, and we'll go up to the top, and you can see that you can zoom in and zoom out here. And to the right-hand side is the Tools panel. This is where you can edit your background color. You can add a text box if you want to add any additional text to the card. You'll do that there. And this is where you can add an additional image besides the ones that are already there, or additional icons, which I'll show you whenever we get into that portion of the card. So with Corjl, this is how you get to your elements. There's 2 different ways. First, you can just click anywhere on the different elements on the card. So you'll see now I'm clicking on the text here. I can even click on this colored box. I can click on the images. You can see that they're selected by the gray dots around the outside, and that's also how you can adjust the size, which we'll get into. So that is how you get to the different elements. Even these icons down here, a little click, you're selecting the icons. So that's the first way, and you can move all the elements that way as well. The other way to reach them is on the Tools panel. There is this Layers drop-down menu, and in here you can get to all the different elements. So this is the Tune In and Watch. I've put some of them in folders to help make it a little more organized. We can drop down this folder and see the first and last name there, so we can select them that way. Appearing as, these are the different shapes, shape colors, and the text that is on the different shapes. So this is another way to get to the elements, and you can delete them from here as well, or you can simply select them by clicking on the elements on the card. Up next, I will show you how to edit the text. To begin editing your text, you're just going to click anywhere on the card for the text that you'd like to change, and you can see that it has showed up over here on the Tools panel. So this is the easiest way to type into the card, is to the right. So I'm just going to select this and add in my last name. I'm holding down Shift to make it all caps, and I can change my character in here. Say I'm Katie, and I'm going to give you an overview of all the different options you have for your text. You can change the font here in this drop-down menu. You can adjust the size. You can do a line, a strike through if you'd like, make them all caps. You can do your colors. Let's say you want to change your whole color scheme of the card. You'll do that there. You can even use the dropper tool to grab colors off of your images if you'd like to create the whole color scheme of the card. This is the letter spacing. So if I bring this down, the letters get scrunched together and they spread out a little more. You can type into this. Like I can make it 20. It looks like it only goes up to 10, but you can type into it. If you have a text box and you want to adjust If it's multiple lines in one text box, you can adjust the line height, the space between the two lines using this, and you can align them to the left, you can align center, or to the right. You can also use this style text drop down for even more text fun. So this gives you a drop shadow that actually looks kind of neat, and you can adjust the angle and the colors. You can do all kinds of stuff in here. You can do a stroke, an outer glow, you can curve your text, change the opacity and the blend. You can rotate it that way as well. So that is how you adjust your text. Next up, we're going to talk about how to customize any boxes, lines, or other shapes on your card. Some of you have boxes like this, or lines, or other shapes like this circle on your card. If I click on this line or on any of these elements, I can hold down and I can move it just by moving my mouse around. I also really like to use the arrows on my keyboard to nudge to help get things in alignment. So if I click on this little banner, for example, I can come over here to the Style Shape drop down, and this is where I can change the color. I can click in here, I can make it green. This isn't the best color scheme, but just for an example, that's a little prettier. You can also do a stroke, which is a little hard to see on the black, but it's a line around the box. You can round the corners if you'd like to adjust the roundness. You can see that there. The opacity or the rotation of the element. This is all in the Style Shape panel. Now, if we come down here, another way to get to some of these elements, this is a little bit more complicated one. If you want to adjust this circle, there are two parts to it, and this is on some of the other cards as well. It has this white circle outline in this, and if you pull on it, it's going to stretch it out. So the best way to get to that one, let's hit undo, send it back to where it was, is we're going to go to the Layers panel and the circle folder here. And this is the white line around it. If I hit Control, I can select the circle and that white line at the same time. As I'm holding down Control, I can pull on the corner tab and move both of them at the same time. So that might be something that you want to do if you're adjusting a little line and a whole shape. Also, if we take a look back up here, you can move these by pulling. If you pull from the corners, if you hold down and pull from the corner, it'll keep the same shape, just make it larger or smaller. But if you have more to write on this line or you want to pull this out more, you're just going to want to pull from the side there. Just click and drag those out. So that is how you adjust lines, little banners, and other shapes on your card. Now that we're done adjusting the shapes and lines on the card, we're going to go ahead and add in our images. So you're going to start out by just clicking on the image you'd like to replace and head over to the Tools panel on the right and click Replace Image. So you'll see here you can drag or drop your file here. These are preloaded images that are in the design already. I've put in icons for the bottom of your card, but you're going to use this space here to click and bring in your headshot. So this is my resized headshot. A lot of you will get a pop-up from Corjl letting you know that all of your files have to be 6 megabytes or less. So I went ahead and took my headshot into Paint here on Windows and resized it quickly there. You can do it on your computer, or there's a couple of websites where you can easily resize an image. So take your resized image if it needs to be, and we're going to bring that into the card. There I am, and I can click and drag over, and for nice alignment, I like to use the arrows on my keyboard to line up. Now, if you need to adjust always use the corner to adjust the size of your image. If you pull from the side dots, you're going to stretch out or scrunch here. It's not going to keep the same aspect ratio. So let's click undo there. You're going to want to click and hold and drag from the corners, and you want to adjust it and make sure all that gray box is covered, and you can use the arrows. Those pink lines that you see there are the guide lines. They let you know when things are centered or when they're aligned. So it's letting me know when I'm on the edge of that box. So now that no gray is showing, that looks good. I'll go ahead and change out this image and we'll move on. So I didn't get a chance to change out that image, but we're going to go ahead and move on to the icons. If you click down here, I zoomed in a lot because these are small. You're going to do what you did above. We're going to replace the image, except this time we're going to go to the preloaded icons. I'm going to use the film as if maybe you would be typing your address to your IMDb profile. This would be a good icon to use. You want to pull from the corners if you're resizing, same as your photos above. You can use the arrows to align, and you can see those nice guides will let you know. If you want to duplicate, pull in another one, and then you can hit replace, and you can bring in an additional icon that way. A lot of the designs, if you have a design that does not have an icon on it already, many of the designs I've preloaded icons into the design, so you can head up to add new image and you'll be able to see those below where you would upload your headshot. So once we get these lined up, we're good to go and we can move on to saving and downloading. Now that we're all done editing, we're going to bring back, uncollapse the collapsible menu, and we're going to save changes. It probably would have been a good idea to do that as we went along, but we'll do it now so that you can see where it said incomplete, it's now changed to complete, and the download option is now available to me. So if I click on download, it will show our different options. You have a PDF or a JPEG option. Usually if you're getting it professionally printed or you're using it to send through email, post on your website, or social media, you'll probably use a JPEG file. So we're gonna click the JPEG and hit next to show you the options. So up here where it says show bleed, if you're getting it done at a printer online or a local print shop where they require a bleed, you're gonna wanna click and check that box. That gives you an additional 0.125 inches around the outside so that after they print, they still have space to cut and crop it into the correct 4x6 size. You also have an option here to show the trim marks. You can see them very lightly. They're little hash marks here, but you don't need that for a professional printer. They already have, they're going to measure it and know how to cut it. So you will likely use the show bleed, or if you're using it for social media, website, emailing, you don't need a bleed on there. So you can just keep it at its 4x6 with nothing around the edges. And then you'll click download JPEG. So let's go back and look at the other download option. The PDF is if you're going to print at home. Certain copy shops would prefer that you bring in a PDF file. So you can see up here, we're printing on an 8.5 by 11 inch paper. So that's the paper you have in your printer, and there would be 2 per page. If you want there to be an additional bleed, you can add that in. But if you want crop marks, that's the more likely one that you'll use. This has a black background on this design. So I'm going to take away the bleed real quick just so you can see. These are the trim marks. So on a black design, you can see very easily that you would just cut along the edge there and it would end up being a 4x6. If you have a white color background, you definitely want to put these trim marks in so that you can measure and cut because this is all going to be white and you're not going to be able to see where the edge is. So either way, those are your options. You can have the bleed with, you can have it with or without, you can have it with or without trim marks, and you can do multiple per page or not if you just want to do one per page depending on your needs, but we'll leave it like that for now. And then you would just go ahead and download your PDF. So that's it. Thank you so much for editing with me today. If you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out at thecreativeactor@gmail.com.